Hello, guys. Welcome to A Story with Rory. This is my podcast, and this is episode number 2. It is called The Men in Black on US I 95. Now, the US I 95 runs through the state of Nevada and part of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so, basically, what had been going on was my dad asked me to go on a trip with him to Lake Tahoe because he was going on business. And then I decided to just go along to do my own little thing. And we get to Lake Tahoe. It's a great trip. Everything's going pretty good. I get to see a lot of sights, stuff like that. Really enjoying myself. And it's, it's about time to leave. We make it back to the airport, and there was something about the plane was overloaded, so they had to get people off the plane. It was a big old mess. And everyone that didn't make it in time basically got delayed. And so I had to be at work the next day, and I was not about to be late for work or miss work because of the plane situation, because I was really uh, into not missing days at work. So I told my dad, I was like, hey, we can just get a rental car. Let's see how far we actually are away from home and see if we can just drive it. And I Google mapped it, and it was like 25 hours and some change. So Reno, Nevada, to all the way to Oklahoma City. It was a uh, pretty far distance. So my dad's like, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea. And I said, hey man, I've been in like multiple bands. We've toured, we've gone, 22 plus hours before. So I mean, I've literally been in a car for that long. I've never driven that distance, but I was like, I've driven like 8 hours. I could. What's 25? And he's like, well, if you just think you're up for it, go right ahead. I mean, you'll be doing them, if not all the driving, most of the driving, but if not all, uh, I leave that responsibility on you. And I was like, okay, well, we really had no other option at this point. So I went up and told the flight attendant, I was like, hey, just, cancel our tickets. We're not going to be back tomorrow. We're just going to get a rental car. So she sent me down to Hertz. We got ourselves this is in 2013. So we got a 2013 Mazda 6, little sporty car. I mean, I really liked it. It was a fun little car to drive. And within it was like 30 minutes, we get in this drive. And I know all I remember was like 8:30 p.m. And we've been up all day, so I was just thinking, man, it's gonna be a long, long, long night. Uh, I kind of had that oh wow moment, like the aha moment, like what did you just sign yourself up for, And we started driving. I was driving, and I'm just going and going. And after a couple hours, we get snacks, fuel up for the road, get water and stuff like that. And okay, there we go. We just set on uh, for Oklahoma City, and we get to Las Vegas. We passed through Las Vegas, and at that point, I was getting a little tired, but I had some like caffeine or coffee or something to keep me awake. And then to fast forward, what really happens into this trip, I never thought was going to happen. Like it really just kind of weirded me out, but we get to a small little town. All I remember is seeing the US I-95 highway signs, and there was this little town we had to go through, and it was kind of weird. Like this little town had like all the lights on to all the businesses, but there was like no one there, like no cars, no people. And I guess it was really late, so that's probably why no one was there. But it's like, why leave all your lights on and stuff like that? I mean, it's just running up their electric bill like crazy, I'm sure. But it's just a little odd. It's just one of those things that you're on a road trip and you see and you're just like, oh, that's strange. Like, why is that like that? I don't know. So we passed through this little town, and then all I remember is seeing a gas station, making a right, and then it was like 25 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour, and it goes back up to the highway speed. So when I get to like the 35-mile-an-hour zone, I noticed there's these two little red lights in front of me about 15, 20 car lengths up. And so I just start gaining speed, 35 miles an hour. And this car wasn't even going 35 miles an hour. He was probably doing like 15 to 20, if even, just impeding the flow of traffic. So I was like, okay, dude, what are you doing? Like we need to get the show on the road. I need to go around you. Um, but I just kind of like stopped for a second and looked at the vehicle and just noticed it for just a second because it was just kind of strange. It was like a, it looked like a brand spanking new car that came right off the showroom floor, like it had never been driven in the desert or anywhere for that matter. Um, it was a pewter 2008 Toyota Corolla with non-tinted windows and had one driver, and it was like a white male, like really white, pale white skin. He had his hair like slicked back, completely slicked with like gel or something, and he was wearing a business suit. And there was like no luggage, nothing in the car, nothing else in the car, just him. And so he's just sitting there impeding the flow on US I-95, and I decided just to go around him, and I get up to speed at I think it's 75 out there. So I basically just leave him in the dust. And that car's kind of sporty, so it gets up and goes pretty quick. And I'm sitting there driving, and I mean, just, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes goes by, and I look up in my rearview mirror and I just see headlights right on my bumper. I'm just like, what the heck? And his brights. He just had his brights on. Um, I didn't see him creep up on me. I just saw him once he was already there, and I was just like, okay, maybe I just made this guy mad. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Um, so I kind of like froze for a second, and then he stood there for, I mean, he stayed there for a good like minute and a half, and then he finally backed off, and I was like, kind of like shook my hand out the window. I was like, sorry, dude, I didn't mean to pass you. I'm just trying to get home. And then I'd say about another 15 or 20 minutes goes by. He does the same exact thing, but this time he's like flashing his lights, like on and off, on his car. And I'm just like, dude, like, what's your problem, man? And that point, it kind of freaked me out, and I was just getting really paranoid. And finally, he backed off, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I just thought it was just a little simple case of road rage or something like that. Like, I don't know. And we keep driving, keep driving. So this time he like, there's quite a bit of distance that gets put between me and him. I'd say probably like a mile. Like I almost lose sight of him completely. And I'm sitting there going 75, 80 the whole time. So maybe like I thought he's gone. And then about half an hour later, um, just driving, and I see this glare coming out of my side view, and it's him with his brights again, coming right up on me. Like, I mean, he was going fast, like well above probably 90 or 100 miles an hour. Um, Gets right on my bumper, flashing his lights on and off, on and off. This time, I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm grabbing my phone. I'm about to call 911. I'm trying to find what mile marker I'm at so I can let him know where I'm at. And as I'm doing 80 miles an hour, I'm trying to notice the next mile marker sign. And the next mile marker sign was green with no letters on it. Like it'd been painted over. I couldn't read it. They were distorted. Um, all I remember is one mile marker was painted green. One of them had like white spray paint. One had spray paint, and then it's like someone had like taken a marker and like made numbers or something. It was just the craziest thing because I'm like, dude, I'm sitting out here in the middle of the desert with a road rage incident, and this guy is going crazy on me, and I can't even tell what numbers are on the mile markers. So I'm really freaking out at this point. Like I am almost having like a full blown panic attack here. And so I see, and this guy doesn't stop. He just stays on my bumper the whole time. So I see there's a town in about 7 miles, and we get about 2 miles outside of that town, and I can kind of see the lights of that town a little bit. It's just a small town. And we get about a mile in from town, and I see a gas station. Well, what looks like a gas station. And I'm sitting there just looking at my review, looking at the town, just trying to make it. I get my phone out and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to just turn this guy in and we're going to figure out what's going on. And within, I don't know, I get to up to the gas station within probably about 500 to 600 feet, less than 1,000 feet. I'm trying to wake my dad up at this point, and he took his Ambien pill, so he wasn't waking up for anything. He was all groggy, just kind of like, like he wasn't all there for what I was telling him because I was trying to explain to him the situation that was going on. And anyways, we pull into this gas station, like right when I'm pulling in, right before I pulled in, I looked up and his headlights were still on my bumper. I remember grabbing my dad at the same time as I was looking up and then pulling in. And then I saw two county deputies just sitting at the pumps, and I was like, "Help me!" So I pull up to him, and as I'm pulling into the little gas station, I'm looking behind me. I look behind me, and there's no car there. Like it's completely freaking gone. Like it's like it was never there. And so I told the deputies, I was gonna yell at the window and be like, "Hey, this guy was chasing me," but I'm like, he was gone. Like there was no car right behind me, like when I was pulling in. So I just, and they kind of looked at me weird. They kind of all standoffish, like, I don't know if they saw the car. I don't know if the car like darted off into a field and I just didn't hear anything. But I got out and I believe I got gas or something like that. And I was just kind of freaked out the whole time, like thinking this car was going to come back. But right when I turned into the gas station, that car it wasn't anywhere to be found. And so I just thought that was really freaking strange. Um, and so once we got back home, we made it home okay after that. But once I got back home, there was like some stuff on the internet about US I-95 and that part of the desert, and that kind of like weird stuff has happened to people. Like there's been cow mutilations, stuff like that. Um, like weird occult stuff, stuff that's just bad. And I was just like, never going back on that highway ever again. Uh, but it was a fun trip. It was a fun trip. We got to go by Groom Lake, not by it, but the exit that went past it. We went past it on the highway, and so that was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, it definitely freaked me out. What's funny is we made it back home, um, like 25 hours later, and or 20 something hours later, my dad ended up driving like the last 4 hours. And once we got home, we realized it would have been the same time as had we have taken the plane the following morning to go back home, you know. So it was kind of like, I would say it was a drive for nothing, but it was also one of those like crazy experiences that I had or whatever. So yeah, that's the story. And I don't know who this guy was that was following me, that was chasing me down. It was just weird that he had a business suit on, a car that was like super pristine condition. This is year 2013, and this was like a 2008 model Toyota Corolla that looked like it had never seen the light of day. And that's what I thought was just kind of strange when we first got on the highway there. And then, it just turned into a weird incident after that. But could it have been someone like Men in Black? I don't know. But it was just totally bizarre, and it was just a weird freak coincidence or incident, whatever you want to call it. And that's really it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching A Story with Rory. I appreciate you viewing, and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. All right, and we're out.